What ignites a war that shapes the destiny of nations? In the year 1947, the Indian subcontinent witnessed the birth of two nations, India and Pakistan, emerging from the shadows of British colonial rule. This monumental event was marked by the partition, a division that ignited immediate and intense disputes over the fate of several princely states. Among these was the princely state of Jammu and Kashmir, a region of unmatched beauty and strategic importance, yet with an undecided allegiance. This unresolved destiny set the stage for the first conflict between the newly born nations. Amidst newfound freedom, the princely state of Kashmir faced a monumental decision. In the lush valleys and rugged mountains of Kashmir, a strategic dilemma unfolded that would shape the future of South Asia. At the helm was Maharaja Hari Singh, the ruler of Jammu and Kashmir. Despite the mounting pressures from the newly independent nations of India and Pakistan, Hari Singh harbored a vision of standing apart, an independent Kashmir. The demographic makeup of his realm presented a complex picture. While Hari Singh was a Hindu, his subjects were predominantly Muslim, constituting about 77% of the population. This religious diversity under a single ruler sowed seeds of political and social complexities. The majority Muslim population eyed Pakistan, a newly formed Muslim-majority nation, as a natural ally, whereas the Maharaja's own inclinations leaned towards maintaining a sovereign state, free from the encumbrances of both its colossal neighbors. Caught between two nascent giants, Kashmir's indecision would soon erupt into international conflict. October 1947. A quiet frontier erupts into chaos. As autumn leaves began to fall, so did the semblance of peace along the rugged and stunning landscapes of Kashmir. From the northwest, tribal militias, armed and eager, poured into the region. These were not regular soldiers, but rather groups of mercenaries driven by a complex mix of motives. These militias, composed mainly of Pashtuns, were unofficially supported by elements within Pakistan. Their mission was twofold: to champion the cause of their fellow Muslims in Kashmir, who were in a state of political flux, and to exert pressure on Maharaja Hari Singh, the region's Hindu ruler, nudging him towards aligning with Pakistan. As they advanced, the militias took control of significant territories, employing both force and persuasion. Their presence was not merely a show of solidarity, it was a strategic move in the larger geopolitical chess game that the partition of India had set in motion. The impact was immediate and profound. Villages were overtaken, local dynamics shifted, and the narrative of Kashmir's future was being rewritten by the day. As tribal militias advanced, the Maharaja's hand was forced, pushing him towards a fateful decision. With his kingdom under siege, Maharaja Hari Singh makes a desperate plea. In the autumn of 1947, the picturesque land of Kashmir found itself caught in the throes of invasion. Forces from the northwest, comprising tribal militias and elements sympathetic to Pakistan, advanced with alarming speed into the princely state. Faced with the overwhelming might of the invading forces and a kingdom teetering on the brink of collapse, Maharaja Hari Singh faced a critical decision. The Maharaja's choice was stark and fraught with historical weight. In a bid to preserve his realm and protect his subjects, he turned towards India, seeking immediate military assistance. This culminated in the historic moment on October 26th, when Hari Singh signed the Instrument of Accession. By this act, Kashmir was officially integrated into the Indian Union, a decision driven by the urgency of survival rather than political ambition. This plea for help would draw the first lines of battle in a long and contentious war. As Indian troops land in Srinagar, a regional conflict escalates into an all-out war. In the chill of late October 1947, the Valley of Kashmir witnessed the arrival of Indian forces, a decisive moment that dramatically altered the course of the region's history. As the planes touched down, the soldiers were met not just with the crisp mountain air, but with the urgent task of repelling the advancing tribal militias who had poured over the border from Pakistan. These militias, initially irregulars, had made significant inroads into the Kashmiri territory, seizing strategic locations and sowing panic. The Indian troops, therefore, had to act swiftly and effectively. Their first major engagement was the Battle of Baramulla. Here, Indian forces faced a severe test, fighting to push back the militia who were mere miles from the capital, Srinagar. As the conflict intensified, the situation on the ground compelled Pakistan to reconsider its stance. By the end of 1947, regular units of the Pakistani military began to enter the fray, marking a significant escalation. The involvement of these regular forces transformed what was a sporadic and chaotic invasion into a more structured military engagement. Battles such as those at Uri and Poonch soon followed, each illustrating the harsh and rugged terrain that proved as much an adversary as the opposing forces. The Indian strategy focused on securing major towns and road links, vital for maintaining supply lines and establishing a defensive perimeter. The battle lines were drawn, but the war was far from over. The battleground of Kashmir draws international eyes. As the conflict between India and Pakistan over the picturesque yet tumultuous region of Kashmir escalated, the international community could no longer remain a bystander. In a pivotal move, India decided to bring the Kashmir issue to the global stage by taking it to the United Nations Security Council. The involvement of the United Nations marked a significant turn in the conflict dynamics. The UN, recognizing the complexities and potential for broader conflict, acted swiftly. They proposed a ceasefire as a preliminary step to de-escalate the situation. The Security Council passed resolutions that called for both nations to withdraw their troops and for a plebiscite to be held in Kashmir to determine its future. The idea was to give the people of Kashmir a voice, a chance to decide their own destiny. January 1949 saw the actualization of these efforts when a ceasefire officially came into effect. This ceasefire was not just a pause in the fighting, it was facilitated by the establishment of a line of control, a demarcation line that would temporarily divide Kashmir into areas administered by Pakistan and India. This line was meant to be a temporary solution until a more permanent status could be agreed upon. However, as we know, temporary solutions often linger. The ceasefire, while halting active military engagements, set the stage for a protracted standoff. The line of control became a de facto border, fraught with tension and periodic skirmishes. Though guns fell silent, the echoes of war would resonate in the subcontinent for decades. The war ends, but its shadows linger on. In the wake of the Indo Pak War of 1947-48, the political landscape of South Asia was forever altered. For both India and Pakistan, the conflict set the stage for a relationship marked by suspicion and rivalry. The immediate aftermath saw both nations grappling with the heavy burdens of military expenditure and the human cost of war, which had displaced thousands and left many communities in turmoil. Kashmir, the picturesque but contentious region at the heart of the conflict, remained a festering wound. Neither India nor Pakistan could claim complete control, as the line of control established by the ceasefire effectively divided Kashmir into two halves. This division sowed the seeds of a prolonged and often violent struggle for dominance in the region, which continues to this day. The impact on Indo-Pak relations was profound and lasting. The war entrenched a mutual distrust that dictated foreign policies and defense strategies on both sides. Each subsequent conflict and diplomatic spat seemed to trace its lineage back to the unresolved issues of this first war. The arms race and the quest for strategic alliances were, in many ways, a direct consequence of the hostilities witnessed during those turbulent months. Moreover, the war's legacy extends beyond mere political and territorial disputes. It has shaped the identities and narratives of nationalism in both countries, influencing everything from education to cinema. A conflict born from partition, the Indo-Pak War of 1947-48, left a legacy that continues to shape South Asian geopolitics. In retrospect, the Indo-Pak War of 1947-48 was not just a regional conflict, but a defining moment for two nations. The spark that ignited this conflict was deeply rooted in the partition of British India, leading to the creation of two new sovereign states, India and Pakistan. The princely state of Kashmir, with its strategic location and diverse demographics, became the focal point of contention. As tribal militias from the northwest invaded, Maharaja Hari Singh of Kashmir faced an existential crisis, prompting his plea for help to India. This led to Kashmir's accession to India under duress and subsequently to a full-scale war between the newly formed neighbors. The war saw intense battles, international interventions, and eventually a ceasefire brokered by the United Nations. The aftermath left a legacy of unresolved issues and a disputed border, casting long shadows over the region's politics and relations. Understanding this war offers insights not only into history, but into the ongoing challenges and complexities of nation building in South Asia.